Hello everyone, it is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another movie review. Today we're going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. As always, I'm not a professional movie reviewer by any means, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a good time with this review. Last time we did Star Wars review, we finished off the original trilogy, but now we're going to the prequels. So, we're heading into a bit of controversial waters as reception to the prequels as well as the sequels was mixed. But I told myself I was gonna look at the Star Wars movies, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. We start off here with Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Uh, of course, we're gonna get into my pros and cons and everything. In terms of what I like, that it sets up a lot of things. It answers some questions that we had about the original trilogy, how it's explained in later movies, how the movie is going back to a time before the setting of the original trilogy. So some questions are answered, but not all of them. So some questions have been satisfied. Some we may not have wanted the answer to, but we got them anyway, I guess. But some questions were answered, and some stuff was established, but it also leaves room for more questions to be asked. But nevertheless, we see some stuff being established here in this in the prequel and everything, which is usually the whole point of a prequel. Anything is that it shows the events before the main thing. And that's exactly what we're getting here. So we see the fall of the First Republic, exactly why the Jedi face off against the Sith. We see the origins of the Sith Lord Palpatine. We see how Obi-Wan meets Anakin. We see that Obi-Wan had a master of his own, Qui-Gon Jinn, and we see how a lot of stuff gets established and why exactly Anakin became a Jedi in the first place, because he is strong with the Force. His midichlorian count was very, very high, and so because of that, they determined that he's the chosen one to bring balance to the Force, and so he's gonna be he's gonna be trained to become a Jedi Knight, but then become Darth Vader. But that, of course, is a story for another time. But in the meantime, this sets up a lot of things, and we see that the Jedi, in a lot of ways, aren't perfect. They are the heroes and everything, but we see that they aren't perfect. They didn't want to train Anakin. He's apparently too old, even though he's like 9. So what exactly is the age for training? If nine's too old, well then what's the age of training? What they start off since like birth, I guess. But yeah, nevertheless, Anakin's too old, so Qui-Gon Jinn plans to train Anakin, but that doesn't happen because he's killed by Darth Maul, all with the cool dual lightsaber. But instead, Obi-Wan then trains Anakin. So we see how that relationship starts to form. Uh, that master Padawan relationship starts to form. That was touched upon in the original trilogy. Now we're going back to it, and we're seeing the origins of that. And then we also see some of the stuff, even from the bat, how Anakin defies tradition for the Jedi. The Jedi aren't supposed to have attachments, but almost immediately he becomes like smitten with Queen Padme Amidala. So we see that and how it may lead to, and of course he's scared, not just because of the trials to come ahead, but because he had to leave his mother behind, as he was a slave. He was freed and everything because of the pod racing and everything. So he unfortunately had to leave his mother behind on Tatooine, so he has a lot of fear that he won't be able to see his mother again, and that's not the ways of the Jedi. So we see him challenging that, and it's pretty interesting to see how that's challenged, and those qualities, it may seem like, well, okay, maybe he's not the chosen one to bring balance to the Force, but he ends up doing it anyway through his death, as we saw last time in episode 6. So, if you haven't seen that review, I definitely recommend checking that out on my YouTube channel. In terms of what I excuse me, in terms of what I didn't like about the movie, there were a few things. For starters, some of the CG animations, because CG was starting to become a thing. It was starting to become more and more prevalent, and it's been around, and it was around for a while. They had quite a bit of it in like the Tron movie from 1982, but now it's like sort of becoming the norm in Hollywood. Is like CGI and things like that. And so some of those effects do look pretty cool for the most part. For example, with Yoda, who before was like a was like had to be like puppeteered and everything in the original Star Wars. Now how animates moves, facial movements all on his own and everything. And so some of that looks okay and fine for the most part, but then some of it does kind of look and it definitely shows its age. So this movie came out in 1999, and some of it definitely does show. The other thing is that the big one, on which actually I'll say that for a little bit. One of the other things is the theme of politics throughout. Now it makes sense, of course. This is how the First Republic fell, and how the Sith and everything take over the Republic, and we see how they start to infiltrate the Republic and everything. We see changing of the tides within the Republic. We see how the Sith start to influence it. But it's definitely through political means, and it makes sense, but it is laid on thick. But that's not really enough to bother me, because it does make sense in the overall scheme of the story. But then the big one, Jar Jar Binks. I've been warned, and a lot of people have been warned for years from this movie, that he was going to be annoying, and sadly, he definitely was. Now, he wasn't as annoying as I thought he would be, but he definitely was pretty annoying, and I know he's going to be there in episode 2. From what I remember, from what I've seen of episode 3, which was a while ago, so my memory of it is a little foggy. I don't remember him being there that much in episode 3, but I know he's going to be in episode 2, so I'll have to live with it for now. But yeah, so that's Star Wars Episode 1, and in terms of its overall impact in the story, a lot of the hardcore Star Wars fans, which I am kind of not, at least not yet, a lot of people have argued the importance of this movie and everything. I remember one of my friends saying that this movie didn't really matter. It wasn't too consequential. But on that, I kind of disagree, because if you think about it, this is showing exactly why Obi-Wan and Anakin can have that mentor-mentee relationship, the master-Padawan relationship, that leads them to becoming enemies later on down the line, and leads to Obi-Wan having some resentment for Anakin becoming Darth Vader. So this is sort of the origins of that, and we see exactly why Anakin becomes Darth Vader. Well, we see sort of the seeds of it, and we see how the Sith overtake the Republic, leading to the rebels having to fight against them and everything. So we see sort of the origins of that, and we see them taking place here. And obviously, episodes 2 and 3 are gonna go more in depth into how exactly Anakin becomes Darth Vader. But for now, it's a start. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Of course, we got System Shock Radio and Tales from the Labyrinth coming out later on today. Hey, and we've also got the next review, which is going to be Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace. Alright, hello everyone, it is Nigel here once again, and welcome back to another review. So, This time we're going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So, as always, I am not professional. I am not a professional movie reviewer. Just a man who enjoys a good time. And for the most part, I had a pretty good time watching this movie, all things considered. There's some stuff that I think they improved upon from Episode 1. Some stuff they didn't really compared to Episode 1. But let's get right into it. We're going to obviously go into our pros and cons and everything. So, the pros is I do like how we're starting to see some things develop. So, obviously up to this point, the Star Wars lore has been slowly developing in a bit of a slow burn type of thing where, a lot of stuff is starting to lead up to other stuff. And what we see is some of the tension beginning to grow between Obi-Wan Kenobi and his Padawan, Anakin Skywalker. Or obviously, from Episode 4, we know that Obi-Wan trained a young man who became Darth Vader, and then obviously as that progresses, we learn that Darth Vader was indeed Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan's Padawan. So now this movie is an attempt to try to show exactly what's leading up to that, and we see some of that tension starting to build where Anakin is beginning to become a bit more arrogant, a bit more like full of himself. He's starting to ask more questions about the Jedi, and Obi-Wan, who is very steadfast, very adamant about the Jedi ways and everything, versus Anakin, who's like questioning everything and being like, well, why can't we do X, Y, Z, and why is it like this? So now we're starting to see how that's starting to play out. We see that, and obviously, as Yoda alluded to, there's always two Sith, and we in the first episode, The Phantom Menace, after Darth Maul was killed and everything, Yoda says there's always two Sith, and we see the second one, Count Dooku. And we also start to see how the Sith is being implanted into the Galactic Republic, and where it's revealed that Darth Sidious, whoever this Darth Sidious is, well, we obviously know who it is because we watch the movies and everything, but they're starting to figure out that Darth Sidious is implanted within the Galactic Republic, and he's starting to control the Senate and everything, into where he's corrupted people such as Count Dooku. So now we see that the Sith are slowly taking over the Republic, leading to obviously the rebellion that would be present in the original trilogy, because this is the prequel trilogy. This is stuff that's happening before the original trilogy, obviously. So we start to see those, and they're dropping hints as to who exactly Darth Sidious could be, but we obviously won't learn exactly who it is until the next movie, where a lot of stuff starts to wrap up. We also see sort of the romance blossoming between Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker, and obviously attachments are forbidden as per the Jedi way, but Anakin is saying, screw that, I love her. So you start to see that, but this is all leading, pretty much all spiraling and snowballing to Anakin's downfall, and him leading to becoming Darth Vader. Sorry for the spoilers and everything. So there's that. We start to see how Obi-Wan Kenobi has matured now that he has a Padawan of his own versus the first movie, which takes place, the second movie, Attack of the Clones, takes place 10 years after Phantom Menace. We start to see how Obi-Wan is starting to mature, starting to become stronger within the Force and everything, because in Episode 1 he was just young as he was learning from his master, Qui-Gon Jinn. So there's that, and a lot of stuff being planted. We see the clone army and everything, and so a lot of stuff unfolding, and it's stuff that they'll revisit later. For example, the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show, and apparently there was another Clone Wars TV show between the second movie, between Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So apparently there was a Clone Wars TV show, and we start to see sort of the gap happen. So the shows will end up bridging the gap. What exactly happened between Episodes 2 and Episode 3? So we start to see how that unfolds as they acknowledge that the Clone Wars have begun. And also, perhaps the biggest thing, less Jar Jar Binks. there is a God. Less Jar Jar Binks. He's used very sparingly here. He's still here, but he's nowhere near as annoying. Which I will say though, while I do find Jar Jar Binks annoying, and a lot of people do, apparently the actor received actual death threats as he portrayed Jar Jar Binks, which that is not cool. No matter how much you dislike the character, sending death threats to someone portraying the character is never cool. That is not a good thing to do. But what we see is we see a lot of things start to unfold, and there's a lot of questions. Well, some of the questions that were kind of already answered, such as who's the second Sith? There's another Sith from Darth Maul who's the second Sith. Now we know it's Count Dooku. So, now we lead into more questions being asked, like, okay, how exactly does Anakin become Darth Vader? Who's Darth Sidious? How exactly are the Sith going to take control of the Republic and everything? In terms of what I didn't really like about the movie, I feel like they kind of tried to rush the romance between Anakin and Padme a little bit. They almost forgot, like, oh shoot, we gotta get the romance in there because they're obviously gonna be a couple, and that's how Luke and Leia get there. Or they gotta be a couple, so they kind of rushed towards it a little bit. There's that, and then there is Hayden Christensen. They recast. So the first movie, which let me make sure I get the name right, because Anakin did end up being recast here. The first movie, Anakin was portrayed by Jake Lloyd, right? But by the second movie, he's replaced with Hayden Christensen, I feel like from what I've seen, the Star Wars community has kind of a love-hate relationship with Hayden Christensen. On one hand, and he does fine for the most part, but his delivery of lines is like kind of wooden, kind of not really that interested. But I will kind of come to his defense a little bit. For starters, seeing him in interviews, I kind of determined is that's kind of just how he talks. Obviously, with acting, you're supposed to put a little more emphasis into it, but for the most part, I think that's kind of how he talks. But also, it kind of makes sense because Anakin's sort of going along almost like naive to it, where he's like this youth that's very heavily influenced by things, and he will be influenced eventually by the dark side and everything, and by Darth Sidious, as was revealed a little later on. But that can explain why some of his delivery is kind of wooden in a way. It's not perfect, but I didn't really hate it too much. And of course, there's the memes to help balance things out. So there is that. And I feel like some of the stuff that Christensen as Anakin is supposed to say, I feel like could have been done better, but in all actuality, it kind of makes Anakin come off as a bit unlikable, which I get is the point and everything, because, Anakin's supposed to turn to the dark side and everything, but it is stuff that is kind of like a bit head scratching. But between this and the memes, it wasn't enough to deter me. I still, for the most part, liked the movie and everything. And the other thing I didn't really like is some of the effects, of course, which, it was the 2000s. CG was nowhere near as good as it would be as time went on, and this is when they were trying to shoehorn it into everything, so some of the effects were kind of but it was just a product of the time, similar to like the first movie. And thankfully not too many of the issues from the first movie he carried over to the second movie. But here is that the fact that Anakin revisited Tatooine, that I think the only reason that was there is to show Anakin starting to fall to the dark side, which is pretty important, but also to show how Anakin beats Owen Lars, aka Luke's Uncle Owen. So that was the whole reason, I guess, for the Tatooine visit, but otherwise it probably could have been cut, but maybe that's just me. But nevertheless, I still, for the most part, enjoyed the movie and everything, and I hope you enjoyed my review. I'm probably not going to review episode 3 until next week, so stay tuned for that. And tomorrow we're going to be reviewing Spyro 3 and capping off the Reignite Trilogy in terms of reviews, and then the retrospective for the Spyro Trilogy is going to be next week. And then, of course, System Shock Radio Test 11 is going to be coming this weekend, and we're also going to do the Bernie Madoff crime analysis. So stay tuned for those. But in the meantime, my review of Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn is out. So if you haven't already, go check that out on my YouTube channel. But as for this review, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. In terms of overall impact that this movie has on the series, and I kind of brought it up how some stuff is starting to be set into motion, and it does feel like between episode 1 where we meet Anakin and everything, and then episode 3 where Anakin becomes Darth Vader, this movie in a lot of ways does feel like a midpoint. It feels like kind of the middleman, getting us from young Anakin and strong with the Force and everything, needing a mentor, to Anakin becoming Darth Vader, falling to the dark side and everything. This was kind of the middle point, the bridging the gap in a way, which is kind of how I interpreted it. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below. Did you like or dislike my review? Did you agree or disagree with my sentiments? And let me know why. And yeah, but thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace. Alright, hello everyone. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another review. So, in this review, we cap off the Star Wars prequel trilogy with Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So, as always, I am not professional. I am not a professional movie reviewer. I'm just a man who enjoys a good time, and for the most part, I definitely had a good time watching this movie. I even go as far as to make the argument that this might be the best out of the prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy has had its ups and downs, rough points, but it definitely finishes strong here with Star Wars Episode 3 to finish off the prequel trilogy. So, of course, if you enjoy this video, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share with all your friends and everything. And let's get into the pros and cons. So, in terms of what I liked about the movie, I liked how a lot of stuff is wrapped up. We see how Anakin becomes Darth Vader, and we see how Anakin's character changes and how it changes based off what's happening around him. So, because of the Jedi, definitely doing some shady stuff, but also the Sith slowly taking over the Republic and everything, and we start to see Anakin become more paranoid, more aggressive and everything. We start to see some of the arrogance take even more full stage and everything, and we start to see Anakin pretty much become unhinged until he becomes Darth Vader and becomes the apprentice to Chancellor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, who is revealed as the Sith Lord and everything. And now, I kind of messed up a little bit because I kind of thought in the back of my head, it's obvious that Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord, because we knew that already. I kind of knew that from the stuff I did read about Star Wars before I saw the movies. But then I remembered, we weren't supposed to know this until Episode 3. We do see hints of it throughout the prequels and everything with some of his odd behavior, but they definitely dial it up here in order to reveal that Palpatine is the Sith Lord, and we see the reveal and everything, and it's kind of like a breadcrumbs approach to it, and we see how it leads up to the big reveal and everything, and then from there we see how Anakin does indeed become Darth Vader, does some despicable stuff. Obi-Wan ultimately has to fight him. Anakin accidentally kills his wife, Padme Amidala, in a fit of anger and everything, and so we see the dynamics and everything and how those play out. And it definitely feels like the payoff to everything we've seen here in the prequel trilogy, how we see a bit more divide, especially in Episode 2, between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Now it's dialed up even more here in Revenge of the Sith, and it all leads to Anakin becoming Darth Vader and everything. And And the battles this time definitely feel a lot more climactic. There's definitely a big fight feel when it comes to these battles. The battles feel important, especially the final battle between not just Yoda and Darth Sidious, but also Obi-Wan and Anakin, where Obi-Wan chops off all of Anakin's limbs, and he gets scorched by the lava on Mustafar and becomes Darth Vader. So a lot of emotion and everything packed in that scene. And of course, the Star Wars memes that we get from this movie. The hello there as Obi-Wan greets General Grievous, who's kind of cool in this movie, and of course Anakin is pretty much saying, "I should have known the Jedi were taking over," and then pretty much everything in that final battle is so meme-worthy, but also so emotionally packed and everything. And I do like how it even reflects in how they battle with the lightsabers. Obi-Wan's more defensive and everything, while Anakin's more aggressive and on the offense. And Anakin's anger and everything, and his paranoia over everything happening, leads to his downfall as he becomes Darth Vader. Padme unfortunately dies giving childbirth, as she literally loses the will to live after she gives birth to her twins. So the vision that Anakin saw, which kind of brought about a lot of these things, do indeed come true. And I like how it mirrors what happens to Luke in Episode 5, where he sees visions of his friends in trouble and tries to save them, and that ends up backfiring. It ends up backfiring for Anakin here, but way worse. So it shows that Luke is just like his dad, Anakin, and we see that here. And I think it's pretty interesting how we saw that George Lucas decided to do episodes 4, 5, and 6 before 1, 2, and 3. But now I think about it, it could have been in a ways to pretty much construct Anakin becoming Darth Vader and his character and everything based off what happened to Luke, pretty much using that as the basis to show that Anakin was just like his son Luke and everything, and a lot of the mistakes that Anakin made, Luke also made later on down the line. And I think it pays off for the most part here. And most blessed of all, very little Jar Jar Binks. He makes like 2 appearances. That's about it. I don't even think he speaks this time around. Thank the Lord. Now, not too much hate on Jar Jar Binks, especially because, like I mentioned when I reviewed episode 2, if you haven't already, go check out that video. Jar Jar's actor got a lot of flack for Jar Jar being annoying and everything. It's just an actor doing his job, but Jar Jar is annoying, and the fact that he doesn't really do a whole lot here, may be disappointing to some, because like, what's the point of him even being there? But you know what? I will take it. But we see how the Sith goes into the Galactic Republic and pretty much becomes like the Senate. Chancellor Palpatine pretty much is the Senate now. He gets full control, and the Republic falls because of it. We see Anakin turn against his masters and everything, such as Windu and Obi-Wan and everything. And everything, for the most part, gets wrapped up in a nice little bow, I should say, as we conclude the prequel trilogy. In terms of what I didn't really like about the movie, he's some of like Hayden Christensen's kind of robotic voice and everything, and where he kind of sounds stoic and everything. That was present in episode 2. It does kind of show up here. Now, compared to episode 2A, here in episode 3, it's not as bad, so he definitely must have dialed it back a lot. Probably per like the criticism and everything, he probably dialed it back quite a bit. He sounds a bit more natural and a bit more like acting and everything. But also, it could be excused because he's kind of under mind control. He's kind of under the influence of Chancellor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious. So him sounding almost like a zombie kind of makes sense. But we see that play out, and that I think is kind of one of the big things that, in a lot of people's eyes, held back the prequel trilogies, was kind of the stoic acting and everything. And thankfully, it kind of wanes and it's not as bad as we get later in the trilogy, but it is still kind of there. And some of the effects, like a lot of the movies, and like a lot of movies, some of the effects were kind of but Other than that, and the fact that some of the characters like Kit Fisto, who apparently has more of a prominent role in the Clone Wars. Sadly, I didn't really watch the Clone Wars and everything, but he doesn't really have too big a role. A lot of people want to see more from him. I'll probably have to watch the Clone Wars to see, but for now, on behalf of those people, I'll put it as a con for now. But that's going to do it for the prequel trilogy. And like I said, in terms of importance to the overall lore, it wraps up the prequel trilogy. We kind of see how we get to the point of Anakin becoming Darth Vader. And I do like the mirroring of Padme dying, and in a way, Anakin dying, as Padme like dies, but Anakin becomes Darth Vader. And we see Obi-Wan on Tatooine in training and everything. Well, starting to begin his training. He'll do more of it as we get into the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show on Disney Plus. And we see Luke and Leia being dropped off. Leia goes with Senator Organa, and Luke goes with his Uncle Owen on Tatooine. But other than that, that is it for the prequel trilogy. So next time we delve into the world of Star Wars, we are going into very, very controversial waters with the Star Wars sequel trilogy that started in 2015. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought and your thoughts on the Star Wars overall so far, whether you watched it and watched my reviews or not. And yeah, I will see you guys later. Peace.